Good morning everybody. Myself Vishvendra, the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Today we'll discuss about horizontal projectile. So suppose there is a tower of height h and you project a stone from that top point with a horizontal speed u. It will fall to the ground following a parabolic path. We need to find the time that it will take to reach the ground, the speed of the stone on reaching the ground, the angle with which it will strike the ground, and the displacement of the particle and the horizontal range of the particle of the stone. So let's start working on the question. So here is the tower AB, which is having a height capital H, and you throw a stone in horizontal direction with a speed u. Since acceleration is perpendicular to the initial velocity, so it will follow a parabolic path. Suppose it strikes the ground at point C with a speed v, making an angle theta with the horizontal. So I have omitted the derivations for that because of space limits. So directly I tell you the results. So the time of flight is root 2 h by g. You can simply calculate it using second equation of motion. S is ut plus half a t square, u is 0, and you get t is equal to root 2 h by g. The graph will be a parabola turning toward h-axis. Then speed is root u square plus 2g. This you can derive by work energy theorem or using second equation of motion. So graph will again be a parabola. Then we have angle of projection tan theta. This is root 2gh by u. The graph will again be a parabola. Then we have range. This is ut, which is equal to this. Graph will be a parabola. Then we have this is the magnitude of displacement. So the most important point in horizontal projectile is that range is independent. Sorry, the time of flight is independent of the initial speed, where range BC is directly proportional to the initial speed. By this way you can solve your questions quickly, and do remember one thing: whatever you learn one word, you learn one line, you learn one para, you learn one page, you learn one book. Whatever you learn, make sure that you learn the desired information, the important information, the useful information only in a systematic way. Only then you will be able to retrieve that information when you will need that. So make sure work on quality of information that you are trying to store in your mind. Only then you will be having a good problem solving skills. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody. Myself Vishvendra, I am the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Let's discuss distance and displacement today. So as you know that distance is a scalar quantity. If a particle is in motion and it's moving along a curve, the actual path length traveled by the particle is called the distance. Whereas you just connect initial and final point. Suppose the particle starts moving from A and it moves to B. So the vector connecting A and B is called the displacement vector. Its magnitude is equal to the shortest distance between 2 points. So let's see things into the proper perspectives. So suppose that the point moves on a curve and it starts from A and it moves till B. So if you straight this wire AB, suppose after straightening the wire it becomes like that and its length is L. Then this length is the distance travelled by the particle during its motion. And it's the actual path length, it's a scalar quantity, it is non-zero in motion. And one more thing, if the particle moves in a circle and traverses an angle theta, then distance travelled is r into theta. In another perspective, let the particle move from A to B, then displacement is the vector joining initial point to the final point. Now let's suppose that the position vector of point A with respect to an arbitrary origin is O, is vector RA, and of point B is vector RB. Then displacement is vector RB minus vector RA. So it is a vector quantity and it has a magnitude equal to the shortest distance between 2 points. One important result: in a circular motion, if the particle traverses an angle theta, the displacement has a magnitude 2r sin theta by 2. It's from properties of triangle. Hope this works for you. So you have seen that whatever you learn, make sure that you learn it with system, with proper interconnections, and with the steps. Absorb only that information which can be acceptable by your mind. Don't hurry, don't be uncomfortable, If you want to retain information for a longer time, make sure you study, you learn with patience, with peace and with comfort. If you feel anxiety, depression or any other negative feeling while studying, while learning, you won't be able to remember that result, you won't be able to retrieve that information because of psychology of human mind. So work on your quality, work on your quality of working, then nobody can stop you from being successful. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody, myself Vishvendra, the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Today I shall discuss about angle. So angle is basically an axial vector which is along axis of rotation for a fixed axis of rotation. Talking mathematically about the magnitude of angle. So angle is basically the amount of rotation of one line with respect to another line. So let's see the proper definition. Suppose there is a circle whose center is at C and there is arc of a circle which is having a length L. Radius of the circle is R. So let this angle is theta. Then theta is defined as the ratio of length and the radius. So theta here is in median. Theta is dimensionless, SI unit is radian, other units are degree, minute and seconds. Pi radian is equal to 180 degree. 1 radian is equal to 180 upon pi degree, which is approximately 57.3 degree. 1 degree is equal to 60 minute. 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. And for a fixed axis of rotation, angle is an axial vector. That means it is along the axis of rotation. If rotation is anti-clockwise, angle is up the plane, which is represented by dot. And if rotation is clockwise, theta is down the plane, which is represented by cross. So these were some of the aspects related to the angle. So you have seen that how information should be stored in your mind. It should be stored in terms of point-wise and interconnected results. Only then you will be able to retrieve it as and when needed. So focus on the quality of information which you want to store in your mind. Only then you will be able to retrieve it and solve your problems. Thank you and have a nice day. Good evening everybody, myself Vishvendra, the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Today I shall talk to you about projectile motion, which is a 2D motion. 2D motion means two of the coordinates specifying its position in space changes with time, while the third one remains unchanged. So you can take two coordinates as xy, yz or xz. In general case, we assume that motion is taking place in xy plane, so x and y coordinates are changing with respect to time. That's what we refer to as the projectile motion. There are certain parameters of related to the projectile motion. So let's look into the things with proper perspectives. So let's suppose that I project a projectile from point A with an initial speed u, making an angle theta with the x-axis. It follows a parabolic path and finally reaches to C. So let's this point is A, this point is B, and this point is C. So I define certain parameters over here. The first thing is time taken from point A to point B. It's equal to u sin theta by g. It can be written as ui upon ay, and it is equal to the time taken by the projectile to reach from B to C. Here it should be C. So time taken from B to C. In this case, we have assumed there is no air friction. In that case, the two times are equal. If air friction is there, then time taken from A to B will be less than time taken from B to C, because friction opposes speed, opposes velocity. So during the journey from A to B, velocity will be upward, so gravity will be downward, and force due to air friction will also be downward. So it will deaccelerate at a larger rate. While when it moves from B to C, the velocity is downward, so the air friction will apply a force in upward direction. Gravity will be downward, so less resistive force will be there. So time will increase. That's the simple logic for that. We define capital T, which is called the time of flight. It is equal to 2u sin theta by g, which is twice the time taken from A to B. Then we define the maximum height h, which is u square sin square theta by 2g. It can be written as uy square by twice of ay. Then we have the horizontal range, the distance AC. It is u square sin 2 theta by g, which can be written in another way as twice ux uy by g. The ratio of s by r is tan theta by 4, and the relation between y and x is y is equal to ax minus bx square. Here range is a upon b and the maximum height is a square by 4b. You can verify these by putting the values. So u is the initial speed, theta is angle of projection, TAB is time of ascent, B to C is the time of descent, capital T is time of flight, capital H is maximum height, R is horizontal range, ux is initial speed along x-axis, uy initial speed along y-axis, ay acceleration along y-axis, x is instantaneous x coordinate, and y is instantaneous y coordinate. So this is information related to the projectile motion. Whatever you do learn, you also must retrieve that in the way that I have shown you. In fact, in a better way. We always should look for betterment, for updations. So I am able to retrieve this information in the way that you have seen, because I have followed a certain process. The set of processes basically. The first thing is a silent mind, second is idea, third is information, and fourth is calculation. Whatever you want to learn, make sure that the first step is you are into a silent state of mind, which Albert Einstein referred to as the state of learning. Learning is human mind learns itself. But until and unless we are confused, we are struggling with thoughts, we are not clear, we are not focused, we can't learn. So the first step is a silent mind. Make your mind silent. Silent and curiosity are the only two things needed to learn anything. If you are silent internally and you are curious to know, you will know the secrets of entire universe. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody. Mr. Vishvendra, the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Let's discuss some questions today. In the first question, this is there are two semi-infinite line charges and one semicircle, and you need to find the magnetic field at the center. So there are three parts, part 1, part 2, part 3. Magnetic field will be the sum of these two. As you can see from the directions that magnetic field from all the elements will be up the plane. So I have just added them. So this is a semi-infinite wire. So at this point, the magnetic field due to the semi-infinite will be mu naught I by 4 pi r. Due to this, it will be mu naught I by 4 r, and due to this, it will be mu naught I by 4 pi r. Adding all this, we have this result. Now let's do this question. There are 4 parts, so the magnetic field will be the addition of all of these. So due to the first part, because the center lies on the line of action of the current element, so magnetic field at this point due to this length will be 0. This is a semicircular arc and the magnetic field will be up the plane, and it is mu naught I upon 2 r theta by 2 pi. Due to this element, because the point is on the line of action of this current element, so it will be 0, and due to this it will be mu naught I by 2 pi to be theta by 2 pi. I have taken negative sign because magnetic field due to this element will be down the plane. So I have assumed upward direction as positive and downward direction as negative. So simplify, we get this result, and it will be up the plane because this element is nearer to the point. So magnetic field due to this element will dominate, and due to this element magnetic field will be up the plane. So we can see the results. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody. Myself Vishvendra, the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Today we will discuss about magnetic field due to arc of a circle. Suppose current I is flowing in an arc of a circle, and it subtends an angle theta at the center. Radius is capital R, length is L. So the magnetic field has a value mu naught I by 2 r theta by 2 pi, and after solving this you get this result. If we draw the graph, then for constant r is proportional to L, so graph will be a straight line, and it's proportional to 1 by r square, so graph will be rectangular hyperbola for B and R. Here we assume that L is constant. So in this way you can, using this trick, you can solve your questions easily. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody. Myself Vishvendra, the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. आज आपसे इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड और पोटेंशियल के बारे में एक रिलेशन जो है वो कैसे ड्राइव होता है उसके बारे में आपसे डिस्कस करूँगा. मान लीजिए हमारे पास दो पॉइंट्स है, पॉइंट ए एंड पॉइंट बी. तो एज पर द डेफिनेशन ऑफ potential energy difference between 2 points, we define the difference of potential energy as the work done by the electric field. Now we know that work done by a force is F dot dA. Now force can be written as the charge multiplied by the electric field. So we have UA minus UB as Q E dot dA. Now potential difference is related to the difference of potential energy by the relation that UA minus UB is Q into VA minus VB. and this is q e dot dA. I assume that the potential at point A is V and potential at point B is V plus dV. So using the expression we have minus dV is E dot dA. So dV is minus of E dot dA, and after substitution we have this relation V2 minus V1 is minus integration E dot dA from position vector R1 to R2. So this is the mathematical relation between potential difference and electric field in space. Now let's implement this what we have learned. So electric field is suppose xi, yj, zk, and we have to find potential difference between A and B given these are the position vectors. So let me to remind you, we have to follow 4 steps: silent mind, idea, information and calculations. But since space is less here, so I am omitting the steps. So we must do that only now. So the information used is that Vb minus V is equal to this. I can write vector dl as dxi, dyj, dzk. So E dot dl will be x dx plus y dy plus z dz. Using the integrations, the final results will be minus of 3 by 2. So in this way you can solve your question quickly. So let me to remind you, whenever you solve a question, follow 4 steps: silent mind, idea, information and calculation. You can also have good problem solving skills. Thank you and have a nice day. गुड इवनिंग एवरीबॉडी, ऑप्टिमल सक्सेस ट्रैजेक्टरी की ऑनलाइन क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है. लेट्स डिस्कस क्वेश्चन टुडे. हियर इज द xy plane and there are some equipotential surfaces given, and we need to find the magnitude of electric field and the electric field vector. So how to solve this question? Do remember the steps: silent mind, idea, information and calculations. We had silent mind. Let's work on the idea. The idea is that electric field is perpendicular to equipotential surfaces. That means it will be perpendicular to all of these. So the line of action of electric field has to be perpendicular to the equipotential surfaces. So this that means electric field will be like that. Now we need another information. We know that the difference between potentials is related to the vector dl and vector E as Vb minus V is minus of E dot dl. So let us suppose this point is B and this point is A. Substituting the values, we have E is equal to root 2. Now if this angle is 45, this angle is 90, so this angle will also be 90. That means this angle will be 45. So that means electric field makes an angle of 45 degree with the x-axis. We can take the components and this can be written as E by root 2 and E by root 2. So the unit vector along minus x-axis is minus of I cap and along plus y-axis is j cap. So we can write vector E as E by root 2 minus I cap plus E by root 2 into j cap. Substituting E is equal to root 2, we have vector E is minus I cap plus j cap. So in this way you can solve your questions quickly. You have seen that problem solving skills is an art. You can also have sharp problem solving skills given that your mind has learned 4 basic processes. The first is being silent when you are solving a problem. Second is generate ideas of how you will solve the problem. Third is retrieve information learned from your notes, and the fourth is calculations. Any good problem solver is an expert in all these processes. These processes, when synchronized and executed properly, can lead to very good problem solving skills. So work on these 4 processes and you can also have sharp problem solving skills. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody. Myself Vishvendra, I am the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Let's discuss the relation between electric field and potential. So there are 2 points A and B, and the displacement between these is vector dl. So we have the difference of potential energy as the work done by electric field, and work done by electric field is F dot dl. The force is Q into E. So we have the difference of potential energy as Q into VA minus VB, and this is Q into E dot dl. So finally we have this result minus dV is E dot dl. Suppose that the angle between electric field and the displacement is phi. So we have minus dV is EDL cos phi. Now for perpendicular directions, this phi is 90 degree. So cos phi will be 0. that means dV will be 0, that means V is constant. So which means that it is called the equipotential surface because potential is constant over there. Next is for parallel direction phi is 0, so minus dV is 0 dl. So E is minus dV by dl, which is negative slope of VL graph. Now let's analyze the VL graph. Suppose VL graph is like this. I draw tangent at point M. Suppose the tangent makes an angle theta with in anti-clockwise sense and alpha in clockwise sense. So we have electric field as minus dV by dl, which is minus of dV by dl is either tan theta or minus tan alpha. So these are the results. If theta is acute, tan theta will be positive. That means E will be negative. That means electric field is toward minus L axis. If theta is obtuse, that means tan theta is negative, which means electric field is positive. That means towards plus L axis. If theta is 0 or 180, tan theta will be 0. That means electric field will be 0. So in this way, you can interpret the graphical relations between electric field, the direction of electric field by analyzing the graph of potential difference and distance L. I hope you understood the result. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody. Myself Vishvendra, I am the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Let's discuss about electric field today. So you might be knowing that everything that we know is the space-time curve. Any field is the variation of that space-time curve. Because of variation of the space-time curve, forces are generated, and these forces are transferred to the entire universe by the space-time fabric. So we have electric field, and it exists because a charge bends the space-time curve, and its impact can be felt by the nearby charges. Electromagnetic force or the force of electric field is long-range force, that is, it can be experienced in the entire universe. So there are certain points, certain proper parameters, certain informations related to the electric field. So these are that electric field is a vector quantity. It has SI unit as Newton per coulomb or volt per meter. The dimensions of electric field are m1 L1 T minus 3I minus 1. SI unit using the concept of dimensions can also be written like that. Kilogram meter second minus 3 and ampere minus 1. And CGS unit like this. This is same as Newton per coulomb or volt per meter. Now electric field is related to electric potential. For one direction it is E is minus dV by dV, and for 3D, if we talk in terms of vectors of 3D, so it is related by minus del V by del x I cap, minus del V by del y j cap, minus del V by del z k cap, where del V by del x represent partial derivative of V, partial derivative of V with respect to x. This is the partial derivative. Let's work on the electric field due to a point charge. So it has a magnitude 1 by 4 by epsilon naught q by r square. It is proportional to q and proportional to 1 by r square. It is proportional to q when I assume that r is a constant, and it is proportional to 1 by r square when I assume that q is constant. So the graph between electric E and Q will be a straight line, and E and R will be a rectangular hyperbola. If I draw a graph between E and 1 by R, it will be a parabola, because if I assume 1 by R is x, then I can say that E is proportional to x square. So these were some of the properties related to the electric field, charge, distance. And in this way, I hope it will be of some use to you in your exams. Thank you and have a nice day. गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीबॉडी। ऑप्टिमल सक्सेस ट्रैजेक्टरी की ऑनलाइन क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। मैं डिस्कस करूंगा आपसे आज इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड ड्यू टू अ रिंग। सपोज वी हैव अ यूनिफॉर्म रिंग, सो द चार्ज इज डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड ओवर द एंटायर circumference of the ring. So I take an element dq here, and let us calculate the electric field at a point on the axis of the ring and at a distance of x from the center. So suppose the radius is r, so this distance is root under x square plus r square. So for this elemental charge dq, the electric field will be radially outward in this direction, and for this charge the electric field will be radially outward like that. So what we can see is that the net electric field due to these two elements will be along the axis of the ring, and the ring can be assumed to be comprising of these pairs, infinite number of these pairs. So for every pair, electric field will be along the axis of the ring. So we can simply add them, and for continuous addition we use integration. So the electric field can be written as integration of dE parallel, which is integration of dE cos theta. And after all the calculations we have, E is equal to kq x y x plus r square 3 by 2. We need to draw the graph, so for that we need to find the extremes of this graph. So just differentiate the graph, differentiate the expression, and after all calculations we have x is equal to plus minus r by root 2. If we substitute this value, we get electric field as 2 kq by 3 root 3 r square. So at x is equal to 0, electric field is 0. At x is equal to r by root 2, electric field will be maximum. And when x will tend to infinity, so this vector will dominate and electric field will tend to 0. So it will have a horizontal asymptote at x tending to infinity. So this will be the shape of the graph. I hope it works for you. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody. Myself Vishvendra, the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Today I will talk to you about electric field due to arc of a circle. Suppose we have an arc of a circle of radius A and subtending an angle of theta. So I am omitting the derivation because I am just interested in showing you the trick. So the value, the magnitude of electric field is 2k lambda by r sin theta by 2, where lambda is equal to q dq by dl, and which is linear charge density. And it is directed along angular bisector of the arc. So let's implement what we have learned in two cases. So here theta is 90, so after reductions, electric field has a magnitude root 2 k lambda by r, and here it is k lambda by r. So using this trick you can solve your question quickly. Hope it works for you. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody. I am Vishvendra, the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. आज आपसे मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया के बारे में कुछ ट्रिक्स डिस्कस करूँगा। मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया के लिए करीबन 50 रिजल्ट्स हैं, तो अगर सिस्टम के थ्रू आप नहीं सीखेंगे उसको तो रिट्रीव करना डिफ़िकल्ट होता है एग्ज़ाम में। तो एक सिस्टम बताऊँगा आपको जिससे इजीली आप रिजल्ट्स को लर्न कर सकते हैं। तो सबसे पहले है मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया ऑफ अ रेक्टेंगल। आप मान लीजिए कि रेक्टेंगल का लेंथ L है और इसका ब्रेड्थ B है। तो सबसे पहले हम जो एक्सिस लेंगे, एक्सिस आर पासिंग थ्रू द सेंटर ऑफ द रेक्टेंगल, एंड x एक्सिस इज पैरेलल टू लेंथ, y एक्सिस इज पैरेलल टू ब्रेड्थ, एंड z एक्सिस इज परपेंडिकुलर टू द प्लेन ऑफ रेक्टेंगल एंड इट पासेस थ्रू सेंटर C. सो मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया अबाउट x एक्सिस इज mv स्क्वायर बाय 12। आपको याद होगा कि रिंग एक रोड के लिए जो मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया है, जब एक्सिस उसके सेंटर से पास करता है तो ये ml स्क्वायर बाई 12 होता है। तो उसी लॉजिक को यूज़ करते हुए, क्योंकि अगर रेक्टेंगल को आप दूर से देखेंगे तो ये एक रोड के जैसा दिखेगा, तो रिजल्ट सेम ही होते हैं। तो अगर आप एक्स एक्सिस के अबाउट मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया निकालेंगे तो ये आएगा mv स्क्वायर बाई 12। सिमिलरली अगर वाई एक्सिस के अबाउट आप कैलकुलेट करेंगे तो ये आएगा ml स्क्वायर बाई 12, और जेड एक्सिस के अबाउट आप इसमें परपेंडिकुलर एक्सिस थ्योरम यूज़ करते हैं, कह सकते हैं कि m by 12 इंटू एल स्क्वायर प्लस बी स्क्वायर। दिस इज द सिंपल रिजल्ट। जो रोड का रिजल्ट है वही रेक्टेंगल का रिजल्ट होता है, तो आप एक रिजल्ट से दो काम कर सकते हैं। नेक्स्ट इज, अगर हम एक्सिस ऑफ रोटेशन को शिफ्ट करते हैं, मान लीजिए इसको हमने किसी साइड पे शिफ्ट कर दिया, तो अब जो एक्सिस ऑफ रोटेशन है ये एंड से पास करेगा, और हमें पता है कि रोड के लिए अगर एक्सिस ऑफ रोटेशन एंड से पास करता है तो मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया ml स्क्वायर बाई 3 होता है। सिमिलर केस यहाँ भी होगा, तो अगर हम एक्स एक्सिस के अबाउट मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया निकालें, दैट विल बी mb स्क्वायर बाई 3, क्योंकि b इसके परपेंडिकुलर है लेंथ के। सिमिलरली iy विल बी ml स्क्वायर बाई 3 एंड iz विल बी द सम ऑफ दीज टू। नेक्स्ट इज अ रेक्टेंगल। फॉर रेक्टेंगल वी नो दैट a इज इक्वल टू b। सो यहाँ पे अगर हम a को b से रिप्लेस कर देंगे तो ये तीन रिजल्ट हमारे आ जाएंगे। सिमिलरली इसमें a की जगह v आप यूज करके ये रिजल्ट ला सकते हैं। तो आपने देखा कि रिलेट करके अगर आप पढ़ेंगे इन्फॉर्मेशंस को तो उसको लर्न करना भी आसान है और ज़्यादा अमाउंट आप लर्न कर सकते हैं। तो आपका जो माइंड है वो एसोसिएशन के सिद्धांत पे काम करता है। अगर आप रिलेट करना नहीं सीखेंगे इन्फॉर्मेशंस को तो उसको रिट्रीव करना बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा। तो जो भी आप पढ़ें मेक श्योर एवरी इन्फॉर्मेशन यू हैव लर्न दैट इज इंटरकनेक्टेड। हर जानकारी जो भी आप लर्न करते हैं वो सारी की सारी इंटरकनेक्टेड होनी चाहिए, तभी आप उसको एग्जाम तक याद रख पाएंगे और अपने क्वेश्चंस कर पाएंगे। थैंक यू एंड हैव अ नाइस डे। गुड इवनिंग एवरीबॉडी। ऑप्टिमल सक्सेस ट्रैजेक्टरी की ऑनलाइन क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम डिस्कस करेंगे कुछ फिजिकल फंडामेंटल क्वांटिटीज़ के बारे में एज रिलेटेड टू द एसआई सिस्टम ऑफ यूनिट। एसआई सिस्टम ऑफ यूनिट विच इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड द इंटरनेशनल सिस्टम ऑफ यूनिट्स। You must be wondering that why we need to make a system of units. That is for uniformity. Just imagine that if kg is of different masses in different countries, will it be possible to have business? Will it be possible to manage the international business in these countries? So there has to be some uniform system which is acceptable everywhere globally. That is why we need to have an international system of unit. So let's start with the physical quantities. The fundamental physical quantities in SI systems are basically 9. 7 of them are fundamental and 2 are supplementary quantities. The fundamental quantities are length, mass, time, temperature, amount of substance, electric current and luminous intensity, and the supplementary quantities are plane angle and solid angles. So let's see things into the right perspectives. The first is length. It has got the dimensions, symbol of dimension as L. Unit is meter and significance is that it tells about size. Next we have mass, symbol is m, unit is kilogram and it tells about quantity of matter. Third is time, symbol of dimension is t, unit is second and it tells about duration. Fourth is temperature, its symbol of dimension is k. Sometimes theta is also written for that. And unit is Kelvin and it tells about internal energy. Next is amount of substance, its symbol of dimension is mole, unit is mole and it tells about amount of substance. Sixth is electric current, symbol of dimension is A or I, unit is ampere and it tells about rate of charge flow. Next is luminous intensity, symbol of dimension is CD, unit is candela, tells about power per unit area. Next is plane angle, dimensionless, radian, tells about ratio of length and radius. Last we have solid angle which is dimensionless but has units, steradians and it tells about area of a solid surface. So these were some of the informations for your as per your information is concerned. So in this way you can learn things effectively and you can retrieve it in a well manner during your exams. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody, myself Vishvendra, I am the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Today we will discuss some results of trigonometry. So we have a right angle triangle in which B is the base, H is hypotenuse and P is the perpendicular. So there are certain standard results. So the first result is H is equal to under root P square plus B square. The second result is sin theta is equal to P upon H. Third is cos theta is equal to B by H. Fourth is tan theta is equal to P upon B. Fifth is cosec theta is equal to 1 upon sin theta. Sixth is sec theta is equal to 1 upon cos theta. Seventh is cot theta is equal to 1 by tan theta. Eighth is sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. Ninth is sec square theta is equal to 1 plus tan square theta. Tenth is cosec square theta is equal to 1 plus cot square theta. 11th is sin 2 theta is equal to 2 sin theta cos theta. 12th is cos 2 theta is equal to cos square theta minus sin square theta. 13th is tan 2 theta is equal to 2 tan theta by 1 minus tan square theta. 14th is 3 tan theta minus tan cube theta by 1 minus 3 tan square theta. Let's discuss some easy rules. 15th rule is sin of a plus b sin a cos b plus cos a sin b. 16th is sin of a minus b sin a cos b minus cos a sin b. 17th is cos of a plus b is cos a cos b minus sin a sin b. 18th is cos of a minus b is cos a cos b plus sin a sin b. 19 is tan of a plus b is tan a plus tan b upon 1 minus tan a tan b. 20 is tan of a minus b is tan a minus tan b upon 1 plus tan a tan b. 21st is sin square theta plus cos square theta raised to power n is equal to 1. 22nd sec square theta minus tan square theta raised to power n is 1. 23rd is cos square theta minus cot square theta raised to power n is equal to 1. So when you want to have sharp problem solving skills, the information which is to be used for problem solving skills must be learnt by you by heart, and retrieve that again and again, practice that again and again, so you become sharp and you will be able to solve your questions effectively, and you'll be having sharp problem solving skills. Thank you and have a nice day. Good morning everybody. Myself Vishvendra, I am the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Let's discuss today about speed. So speed is represented by the symbol V. It's a scalar quantity. It has dimensions m0, l2, -1, and SI unit meter per second and CGS unit centimeter per second. Speed can be categorized as average speed and instantaneous speed. Average speed is distance by time, and instantaneous speed is magnitude of instantaneous velocity. This is basically called the spider map method, in which we make the points of every variable, every physical quantity that you have studied. The reason for this is that when you solve a question and you have, if you have make notes in form of paragraph, your mind won't be able to retain the desired information, the required information. The benefit of making spider notes is that you learn in steps and in an interconnected way. Our mind works on the basis of association. More are the neural associations, more are the neural connections, better will be your memory. So if you want to have good memory and good problem solving skills, then whatever information you have, store that in your mind in an interrelated way, so that you can retrieve it as and when needed. So let's implement what we have learned in a question. This is a position diagram of a particle moving along x-axis, and we need to find the average speed from the time 0 to 10 seconds. So as I have already told you, whenever you solve a question or a problem, your mind follows certain processes. Just control the processes, synchronize them, and nobody can stop you from having effective problem solving skills. The first part is have a silent mind. The second is have the idea. The third is retrieve information, and fourth is calculation. Any good problem solver is good in problem solving because his mind follows these 4 steps, and he has learned to be an expert in the processes. So be an expert in the processes executed by your mind, and you can also have sharp problem solving skills. So let's start with the silent mind. Now let's think about the idea that how to find average speed. For this you need to know the information of average speed. So if you have the systematically information stored over here in terms of points, then your mind will be able to recall that instantly. And if you have read in terms of paragraphs and statements and heavy notes, then your mind will not be able to read things effectively, to retrieve things effectively. So the entire difference between a successful and unsuccessful student is because of the quality of information that they have and their neural connections. So systematically store information in your mind. So average speed is distance by time. Now just analyze the graph. At t is equal to 0, particle is at origin, and at t is equal to 5, particle is at x is equal to 30. So t is equal to 0, it's at origin, and t is equal to 5, it's at 30 meter. Now at t is equal to 10, particle is at x is equal to 20. So suppose here is x is equal to 20. So certainly this distance is going to be 10. So the total distance travelled is 30 plus 10, which is 40. Total time is 10 seconds. So the average speed is 4 meter per second. In this way you can also solve questions quickly and solve your problems effectively. So if you want to have sharp problem solving skills and getting selected in exams, make sure that you learn the process executed by your mind. The first step is the silent mind, second is the idea, third is information, and fourth is calculation. Be an expert in these 4 processes and nobody can stop you. Thank you and have a nice day. गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीबॉडी। ऑप्टिमल सक्सेस ट्रैजेक्टरी की ऑनलाइन क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज मैं आपसे प्रोजेक्शन ऑफ वेक्टर्स के बारे में बात करूँगा। तो मान लीजिए हमें 2 वेक्टर्स दिए हुए हैं, वेक्टर ए एंड वेक्टर बी, विच आर इंक्लाइंड टू ईच अदर एट एन एंगल ऑफ थीटा। तो इस राइट एंगल ट्रायंगल में आप देख सकते हैं कि अगर ये ए है तो ये साइड ए कोस थीटा होगी और ये वाली साइड ए साइन थीटा होगी। तो वेक्टर ए को मैं एक्सप्रेस कर सकता हूं एज एडिशन ऑफ दिस वेक्टर एंड दिस वेक्टर। तो ये अगर बी वेक्टर है तो इसके अलोंग यूनिट वेक्टर बी कैप होगा। तो मैं इसको लिख सकता हूं ए कोस थीटा इंटू बी कैप, और इसे लिख सकते हैं ए साइन थीटा इंटू एन कैप। तो वेक्टर ए को लिखा जा सकता है एज ए cos थीटा बी कैप प्लस ए sin थीटा एन कैप। ए cos थीटा बी कैप को मैं बोल देता हूँ ए पैरेलल और इसको मैं बोल देता हूँ ए परपेंडिकुलर, जहाँ पे ए पैरेलल इज प्रोजेक्शन ऑफ ए अलोंग वेक्टर बी। प्रोजेक्शन में वैसे तो कई बार मैग्नीट्यूड भी हम यूज करते हैं, बट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द कंपोनेंट, द वेक्टर फॉर दैट प्रोजेक्शन। तो मेरा जो डिस्कशन का टॉपिक है वो प्रोजेक्शन एज ए वेक्टर है। तो ए पैरेलल वेक्टर को हम लिख सकते हैं ए cos थीटा इनटू बी कैप। ए cos थीटा को वी कैन सिंपलीफाई एज ए डॉट बी अपॉन बी इनटू बी कैप। तो यहाँ से बी कैप को आप लिख सकते हैं एज वेक्टर बी अपॉन बी, तो ये हो जाएगा ए डॉट बी, बी और बी बी स्क्वायर इनटू वेक्टर बी। इसको हम इंप्लीमेंट करेंगे क्वेश्चन में। मान लीजिए वेक्टर ए इज 4i कैप माइनस 3j कैप प्लस 2k कैप, वेक्टर बी 2i कैप प्लस j कैप माइनस k कैप, ये इसका डेफिनेशन है। तो ए डॉट बी आप यहाँ से कैलकुलेट करें, ये 3 आ जाएगा और b का जो मैग्नीट्यूड है ये होगा √6। तो वैल्यू सब्स्टिट्यूट करके a पैरेलल आपका i कैप प्लस j कैप बाई 2 माइनस k कैप बाई 2 है। तो जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन है आप वो सिस्टमेटिकली लर्न करें उसको प्लान के तहत, जिससे आप अपने क्वेश्चंस आसानी से कर पाएं। थैंक यू एंड हैव अ नाइस डे। Good morning everybody. Myself Vishvendra. I am the founder of Optimal Success Trajectory. Today we shall discuss about the force from momentum time graph. So we need to find force from PT graph. Suppose this is the momentum time graph. We take a point M on the graph and we draw a tangent. Let the tangent makes an angle theta with t axis in anticlockwise and alpha in clockwise sense. Then we know that the force is defined by dp by dt, which is equal to tan theta, which is equal to minus of tan alpha, which is the slope of PT graph, that is slope of momentum time graph. Now for theta, it can be acute, obtuse, 0, 180 or 90 degree. If theta is acute, then tan theta will be positive, that means force will be positive, and positive force means repulsion. If theta is obtuse, that is it lies between pi by 2 to pi radian, then tan theta will be negative, that means force will be negative, and negative force means attraction. If theta is 90 degree, then tan theta will tends to infinity, then force will tends to infinity, which is called impulsive force, which has a very great magnitude. If theta is 0 or 180 degree, then tan theta will be 0 and force will be 0, that means equilibrium position it is called. So let's implement what we have learned in a question. The momentum time graph is given and we need to find force at t is equal to 7 seconds and 12 seconds. So we'll follow the steps, silent mind, idea, information and calculations. So let's start with the idea. The idea is that how to find force from PT graph. The information is that f is dp by dt is equal to tan theta. So at t is equal to 7 seconds, it's over here. So at t is equal to 7 seconds, force will be 0 because the tangent is parallel to the t axis, so the angle is 0, so force will be 0. And at t is equal to 12 seconds, let this angle is alpha, so this angle will also be alpha. So at t is equal to 12 seconds, tangent is making an angle alpha with the x-axis, with the t axis. So we need to find tan alpha. From this triangle, tan alpha will be 10 by 5, which is 2. So in this way you can find the value of force. So you have seen that if you have worked on the 4 processes, if you have worked on yourself, then you will be able to solve questions effectively, and until and unless your mind don't have the quality of good problem solving skills, however information, whatever information, quantity does not matter until and unless you have quality of problem solving skills. So focus on the quality of your mind when you solve a problem. Problems are to be practiced to develop the quality of mind. It is the quality of mind which matters. Work on your quality of mind and you will be successful one day. Thank you and have a nice day. Good afternoon.